If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street.
Hold on. So let me make sure I got it right.
You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
Or you're not going to. Good gracious. These people are not playing. Florida's not playing games. I am here for it. Let's go.
If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop.
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead.
Shoot protesters dead in Florida? Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Hassan, and when I watched this clip, I was honestly appalled and shocked. I just can't believe that we're living in the United States of America, about to celebrate our 250th anniversary next year, and we are watching this kind of extremist statements that ignore reason, rule of law, common sense, common decency.
Okay, I really think this is interesting because a lot of the time people will extend all of the grace to the person that's breaking the law. They never really take into effect that the person is violating my rights. They always give rights. They always give grace. They always give concessions to the person that's doing the bad thing. But they never say, hey, this is his private property. This is her property. This is her family, his family they're trying to defend and protect. They never do that. It's always the fault of now they put all the blame on the person that has the weapon, the person that's driving the car, the person that's defending themselves, but they never, ever, ever put responsibility on them because these people are so righteous. But no, sir, you say personal responsibility and common sense. Sir, I'm responsible for myself, my stuff. So is this person. They should be aware that it's very possible I could put your head to bed. This is so ignorant. That's what y'all get. That's exactly what y'all get.
But somebody picking up a brick or something is going to get shot dead, if I understood that correctly.
Think about that. He's underselling that. Go back and watch the videos of LA riot and how they were throwing bricks at police cars while they were driving, doing 50, 60 miles per hour on a interstate, and you throw a brick and hit the windshield, you could literally kill somebody like that. So if they decided to put your head to bed, it's literally self-defense because you're attacking with a deadly weapon. This guy knows that too, by the way.
You're telling me this grown-ass man who's supposed to protect the people of this country got up on the podium today and said, if we feel threatened at any point, we're not playing. Like, your family members will get sent to their door. I don't even know what to say. Like,
I know what you can say. I got an idea. Here you go. You say, I'm not going to play around with them. I am going to protest on the sidewalk. I'm going to act like a normal person, and I'm not going to try to impinge upon other people. How about that?
What the fuck is happening? How is he allowed to say shit like this? Like,
easy.
That was the sheriff of Brevard County.
This man's wearing a bonnet. I'm just going to say that again. This man is wearing a bonnet.
County, Wayne Ivey. I'm going to disregard the gun part because that's just not happening. You want me to believe that because protesters are expressing their anger at their families being torn apart by the federal government, by ICE, that you're doing that, and they're throwing bricks and they're shooting flares at heavily armed and armored police officers, National Guard troops, and Marines, that gives you the right to shoot them? Like, that's ridiculous.
The irony of what he's saying while wearing a bonnet has to be studied. There's going to be courses written about the amount of ignorance that this young man is espousing. First, are you black? What's your fight in this? Get out of this. Leave this alone. Let other people fight this. But more than that, if they're throwing bricks, as if throwing a brick is okay, leave it alone, Jason.
Ridiculous. This man is literally drumming up bloodlust to murder protesters in the street. Mind you, in the same press conference, he was encouraging people to run protesters over because I guess that's illegal around here. You know, we live in the worst timeline, and Florida is the fucking worst part of it.
I'll start out by addressing the doxing issue that we were talking about. Our ICE agents, just like our Florida Highway Patrol, are our partners. We all ride together in this. We all are out here to make sure that we're protecting our citizens, protecting our communities. Many of them have been called to the border. Many of them have been called to other locations to deal with the amount of fugitives and things that are going on, detainers. So for us, we will have their back. We will work closely with Colonel Howes and his team in making sure that we're increasing patrol, we're watching them. Anybody that's doxing them, as the General said, we passed a law about 4 or 5 years ago that makes it illegal to dox here in the state of Florida. So anybody that's doing that, we will take them to full task on doing it. We will stand with you. I want to define a couple things, and our General was very kind in how he said things. I'm not as usually as elegant in how I say things. So I'm gonna first say that peaceful protests are part of our democracy. We invite people to share their opinions. That's what our country is all about.
I just want to point out, he is clearly saying peaceful protest is not the issue. The issue is not you holding a sign, banging a drum, walking down the street, chanting. That's not the issue. The issue is rioting. And the conflation of rioting and protest needs to stop. If you are one of those people that riot, one of those people that protest, you need to start drawing a clear line between the two of them. And you need to separate yourself from the rioters, because I know you're going to be upset about this, but you're going to probably there's going to be some protesters that get their heads put to bed because they're sitting out fooling around with the rioters. And the rioters are going to be responsible for getting protesters deleted. And it's because of y'all. So you need to start separating yourself from those. You say, no, we're not going to go down there because those people down there are rioting, and they are going to be the recipients of this type of policing. I'm going to go over here and hold my sign. I'm going to go over here with my bullhorn. That's what y'all need to start doing. I'm not responsible for it because I don't think any of it is necessary. You need to be responsible for it, because if your life is in danger, it's not my fault. It's not this officer's fault. It's your fault. Let's go. I think I hit rewind. I did it again. Sure did. Okay, here we go.
Make sure that we're protecting our citizens, protecting our communities. Many of them have been called to the border. Many of them have been called to other locations to deal with the amount of fugitives and things that are going on, detainers. So for us, we will have their back. We will work closely with Colonel Howes and his team in making sure that we're increasing patrol, we're watching them. Anybody that's doxing them, as the General said, we passed a law about 4 or 5 years ago that makes it illegal to dox here in the state of Florida. So anybody that's doing that, we will take them to full task on doing it. We will stand with you. I want to define a couple things, and our General was very kind in how he said things. I'm not as usually as elegant in how I say things. So I'm gonna first say that peaceful protests are part of our democracy. We invite people to share their opinions. That's what our country is all about. The key word in that is peaceful. And if it's peaceful, us in law enforcement are going to make sure you have a safe environment to do it in. That's part of that process. If you let it turn violent, whoo, you do not want to do that in Brevard County.
He's literally saying, walk down the street holding a sign, with your bullhorn, clanging your bell, saying your chant. That's fine. He's literally saying that. And it's funny because he turned the page. So as he turns the page, now he's talking to the people that are not just walking down the street, holding signs, clanging their bells and saying chants. He's talking to a whole new group of people. Why are you including yourself in this whole group of people? Because you're probably this whole group of people. That's why. That's why. So everybody that's in their feelings, you're not going to get run over on the sidewalk. Everybody that's in your feelings, you're not going to get popped because you're not carrying bricks. You're not throwing bricks. You're not spitting on officers and that kind of stuff like that. You're not running from the officers because you're doing the right thing. Peaceful protest is fine. Mostly peaceful rioting, sitting around watching cars burn, those things are not acceptable. And it's like when you turn the page, he's talking to those people. Why are you including yourself in that? Because you're a part of it. Let's go.
I tell you that, and I believe I can speak for my fellow sheriffs around the rest of the state. You don't want to let it happen. And just so there's no confusion, because I don't want to hear any whining later saying we didn't know, I'm going to break it down for you, all right? Because as you watch these riots unfold across the rest of the country, what you are seeing is buildings being burned down, police cars being bricked, having explosive devices thrown on them, having fire, guns pointed at them, bricks thrown at them, on and on. So I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop. You're watching what's taking place out there. You're seeing police officers that are being attacked, being spit on, being put in harm's way just for doing their jobs. You're seeing ICE agents that are being targeted for doing their jobs. And you're seeing obstructionists that are doing all of this, standing in the way of law and order. Not here, not in the state of Florida. So to make it real simple, if you don't want to have any of those things happen to you, obey the law. Go protest all you want. Do it peacefully. Stand on the mountaintops and yell your opinion, your views. We invite that. But don't you dare break the law.
Okay, I want to stop. Okay, I want to pause for a second because I got one clip at the end I want you to pay close attention to. Shout out to Florida. Prayerfully, other states will also hold these people's toes to the line. It's not the peaceful protesters. It's the rioters, the insurrectionists, the anarchists, the agents of chaos that he's speaking directly to, that he's saying that we're going to delete you, that you're going to get run over, that you're going to get popped, that you are going to go to jail. That's not the protesters. That's the rioters. Okay, so I wanted to also bring up this last little clip, young lady explaining what we had as the options back in November. What were our options that we had available? So I'm going to pull this in and check it out. We'll end it with this. I thought she did a fantastic job of summarizing.
If you voted for Donald Trump, then that means that you voted for people to be deported, and you voted for children to be taken away from their families, and you're racist, and you're a monster, and you have no empathy, and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. The alternative was voting for a woman who was in charge of the border for the last 4 years, and over 300,000 children have gone missing under her watch, many of whom have now been sex trafficked or labor trafficked or are still missing. Tell me again how I didn't vote for the best interests of children? The alternative was voting for an administration who for the last 4 years let millions of illegal, unvetted people to come into the country where my children live and play Russian roulette with American safety. The alternative was voting for a woman who could not do one interview and give a clear and direct explanation of what she had planned for the border. What you're seeing is that she failed at her job for the last 4 years of keeping that border secure. And before you're like, oh, well, it's not everybody. There are people that come to have a better life, and there are good people. Nobody's saying that there's not. And nobody's saying that they can't be here. Do it the right way. There's 100 people that come. One is bad. The rest are good. Guess what? I don't want that risk. My kids live here. There is a reason that these laws are in place. It's to protect American citizens. I don't know why you guys cannot see that. I don't know what's not clicking. What's not clicking. And then you hear, well, Americans commit more crimes in America than other people. And what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? I don't want a criminal in office. I would never vote for a criminal. So the alternative was letting in millions of criminals. That's the better alternative. You guys are like, sometimes I wonder. The difference between someone who voted for Donald Trump and someone who voted for Kamala Harris, if you ask someone why they voted for Donald Trump, they can give you reasons, logic, statistics, facts. If you ask someone why they voted for Kamala Harris, they're going to give you reasons why you shouldn't vote for Donald Trump. See the difference? If you watch Donald Trump's campaign, it's about policies that he planned to implement for America. If you watch Kamala's campaign, it's about why you shouldn't vote for Donald Trump. Do you see the difference? The right was focused on the right. The left is also focused on the right. There's a problem there. Whenever the left talks about politics, they're always talking about why Orange man bad, and they are never talking about why Kamala is the better choice. Because you can't. Because if you focus on policies and numbers and facts, you focus on the effects that it had on Americans, and you love America, then you'd be forced to acknowledge maybe it isn't the better choice. And that is why more people than ever have left the Democratic Party. So the next time you say that somebody who voted for Donald Trump, who voted in favor of deportations, is a racist, I want you to tell me what the alternative was, the effects of the alternative, and why that alternative was a better choice. Thank you.